He was not completely wrong either, for as long as the warriors were there was always going to be something to fear. They have a purpose in my creation, and I am not unloving toward them, but Earth is no longer their right place. The head warrior called for more protection, over and over, more and more, so loud and long that Earth finally answered the call by placing some protective fire dragons in the skies. These fire dragons had taken on an intimidating form that was huge enough to encircle the Earth. They hung out in the skies, watching everything with very sharp eyes. With their breath of fire, they blew away spirits they didn't want to enter the Earth, but they didn't remove any that were already there. They did not believe that they could or should, and so denied their true feelings there. There were many on Earth that they wanted to send away, but feared it was wrong and that they might scorch others who got in the way. If they had accepted their own true feelings, they could have found a way. Instead, the fire dragons held in many of their true feelings and only expressed towards spirits trying to enter for the first time. These denied feelings became dense within them because they were not allowed to move. When their density caused them to sink toward Earth, they began to take turns in the sky while the others went to the fire seas, deep in the Earth, to purify themselves of what had made them too dense to hang in the skies. They got there through secret and guarded passageways that opened only to the fire dragons. In the fire seas, the fire dragons vented their feelings, which often meant dumping them out. While the fire dragons regularly purified, their denied and pushed away feelings opened the way for one among them to become treacherous and foul. In actuality, this fire dragon feared his own worth and had externalized this as right place issues of power and position. He interpreted right place in my creation as a judgment of worth, which it is not. This fire dragon saw self-worth as who had the most important place. He actually wanted to take my place, but he planned to begin by awarding himself what he saw as the most important power position on Earth. He decided he was going to make himself head fire dragon. He wanted to be the one to say who could come and go from Earth, but he disguised his true purpose by saying that no one should judge this way. Instead, let all spirits enter. Let all spirits stay. He did not feel good to the other fire dragons, and his words did not ring true, but the fire dragons' own denials did not let them know what to do. He implied that he was more loving than they. He said they were judging him and the others who wanted to be on Earth. His presence was intimidating to the other fire dragons who did not know what to do. He had become the biggest, and he turned his fire on them, which none of the others did. Fearing they dared not speak up, the others vented underground when this fire dragon was not around. They wanted to tell him to leave Earth. Instead, they asked him to leave, and he refused. He was asked not to allow any spirit onto Earth unless the other fire dragons approved. The fire dragons wanted consensus, and again, he refused. Meanwhile, the warriors began refusing to protect Earth for free. They began to demand gifts and services. Without admitting that they could not manifest like the others, the warriors insisted that tribute was their just due. In this way, they were using the light of others instead of receiving from me. Whatever they received from the earth spirits, they saw as not being what they wanted it to be. When they received something, gratitude was missing. They all complained that it was not enough, and the more they complained, the more they decided they needed to demand for themselves. Their power issues wanted complete control. The warriors demanded everything as their just due, and still, they felt empty and incomplete and as though what they were receiving wasn't enough. The earth spirits felt they were having to agree to more and more control and less abundance for themselves. They had fear, which many covered with anger. Their fears about me did not allow them to ask for my help. They called out my name and said they were asking for my help, but greatly feared they would hear nothing or that I would not give them the answers they wanted to hear. They beseeched me for help, and I did not answer. The earth spirits feared, even more than, that I had sent the warriors in my place. I did not send the warriors, but I also could not lift the struggle off of Earth. The warriors had their own viewpoint in place of hearing me. Other spirits who had gone to Earth to try and help found that they also felt unreceived and far away from my light. There was growing confusion and fear, and the treacherous fire dragon planned to take advantage of the situation. He suggested that they would all feel better if they had a big party and invited all to forget their differences and celebrate what they had. He even volunteered to guard Earth alone that night so that the other fire dragons could go to the party. The other fire dragons did not trust him. They decided they'd take turns guarding with him that night. One of the fire dragons, though, could not stand being on duty with this treacherous one. When it was his turn, he left his post and slunk off to the fire seas, telling himself everyone was so busy partying that no one would notice. He did not feel good about doing this, but his own denials did not allow him to find another way to exercise what he thought was his own free will. The treacherous fire dragon had a plan and had been hoping there would be a time when he could be alone in the sky. This fire dragon had been communing with another force that opposed me, and as soon as this fire dragon was alone in the sky, he called to that force and led it onto Earth. He thought that he was about to gain control of all of Earth because he thought he could control this force and have it intimidate Earth for him. This force, however, had another spirit already controlling it that this fire dragon had not seen because of his power delusions. This spirit blasted past the fire dragon with that force and hit Earth with its hot, dry, raging cosmic wind of destructive anger. The fire dragon, who had thought he was about to take over, was scorched and thrown to Earth like a discarded rag doll. He was barely able to crawl into a cave and hid himself. Writhing in agony, he tried to abandon his form to escape his pain. This hot, dry wind raged across the face of Pan that night and sent the partying ones scurrying for shelter. It burned off vegetation, seared great cracks into the land, and made it unbearably hot and steamy on Earth. Its raging fingers reached into the Earth itself, causing volcanoes and earthquakes. The hot, dry wind could not stay in one place. It raged on, wreaking destruction every place it went, until finally, it seemed to burn out. At first, the Earth spirits feared that it was me who had hit Earth to punish. Then, some thought the fire dragons must have done this, but when they sought the fire dragons and asked them, the ones they found claimed they didn't know anything about it. When they found the treacherous one, he claimed he had suffered terribly trying to defend Earth. The other one, who was supposed to be on guard with him, said that he had been hurt too. The Earth spirits now had even more fear of me because they did not know how the hot, dry wind had come to Earth. They did not know if it would return or not. They feared they could not depend on anything. The head warrior said that the existing protection was obviously not enough. The Earth recovered from this as best it could, but the land was not as abundant or as beautiful as it had been. As the spirits healed themselves in the Earth, they tried to return to their own ways and find some joy again. Even so, they had scars they weren't able to heal yet. In seeking their old ways, they also sought old friends, and when many of them could not be found, they felt a growing sense of things not being right on Earth. The spirits of Earth had not encountered death before, and they did not know what they were encountering then.